Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, and I am here with a very special guest. You don't get these people often. It's someone who's actually good at Yu-Gi-Oh! Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello guys, it's me, Pascal Kihm. You may know me from YCS London, you may know me from my stream, and I'm a member of Junk's Playground.
We are going to talk about some of the decks that you should both be looking out for and be prepared to face in the newest format, the Eternity Code format. Now, my perspective with the Eternity Code format is mostly sitting behind a chair and watching more talented people make plays. Yours is on the front lines of Dueling Book, doing the the service daily that we all love and respect against the hordes of unwashed masses trying to play Mech Knight, whatever. And for that, we thank you. Um, but in terms of what those decks are and what people can expect, I think first and foremost are the two that, of course, have been absolutely dominating everywhere, leading off with Adamancipator.
At least what I thought about was that Emancipator is getting worse due to the release of the new Mermaid cards, and I thought about that the Mermaid deck could be the new combo deck for the American players. Like if you, in general, like the American players are more tend to play combo decks, and the Europeans are more tend to play control decks. That's yeah, I'm not sure about it. I didn't test it yet, but I think that the Mermaid deck could be the better at Emancipator. Like it really depends on like I think the at Emancipator has more chances to win when going second, but Mermaid also has a shot, so and it has the possibility to look into the opponent's hand and snatch hand traps and so on. So I think Mermaid might take the spot of at Emancipator in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing in the past couple of weeks Adamancipator players playing like absolutely ridiculous cards, like a Pointer of the Red Lotus, just to, like you said, snatch a couple of cards out of their opponent's hand. And Water is just so much better at doing that. I mean,
Yeah,
if you go first,
yeah,
you get
just
to get
jumping.
what, 3 to 4 cards out of the hand, no matter what.
Yeah, I think so. Like you have the one card that takes a look on us on the opponent's hand and then takes one card, returning it in the end phase like a Pointer does. Then you have the Mullen Glacier, or how that's called, that takes two. So you already get rid of 3 cards, and then I see a couple of variants. Like I'm not familiar with all of them, but there are decks like going for Trish and going for the rank 9, the rank 9 that
Calamities.
prevents. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a pretty good contender for the future, I think.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about that deck right now. So for people who are just completely unfamiliar with what like the Water Mermail hand loopy combo deck is going to look like in this upcoming format, can you just give a quick breakdown as to what that deck looks like and how it plays?
From what I've seen, like I'm not playing it by my own. I have no list for it, but I've seen some people playing it, and it has the possibility to break boards kind of easy. It has the possibility to loop for 3 or 4 cards and go for calamities. It has so much like potential on building an unbreakable board, even snatching cards. Like it can play through hand traps easily. They have a lot of extenders, at least from what I've seen. And you have to imagine, like, when you throw a hand trap, they technically got rid of 1 card, and then if they are still able to loop for 2 or 3 hand cards, then you're left on 1 card into going to draw phase, have 2 cards left, and yeah, they have like a board, and you have to break it with 2 cards, which is kind of hard. I would wonder if we don't see more play of it in the future events like we have.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I certainly think people will come around on the archetype. It got 2 huge new pieces of support in the Deep Sea Searcher and one playable deep sea monster. Of course, the release of Halka is great for the deck that goes through Deep Sea Diva and Nept Abyss over the course of its combo. But I think you make a pretty good pitch for it as a combo deck like Adamancipator that just operates in a different way, can make the same types of sort of unbreakable boards, but also rip a couple of cards out of your hand in the process. And I think the common thread between the rest of these combo decks, like Adamancipator, is pretty often they do need, 3 to 4 cards to pop off all the way. If you're like normaling a researcher and that's it, how far can you theoretically go? You have to hit something that makes Hulk. Hulk has to resolve, and a couple of negates on board will basically close the door on those plays. I guess we would be remiss in not talking about the control deck that is currently just wreaking havoc all through the format. Eldritch, which has morphed into this extremely weird monstrosity. There are Eldritch decks that are all the way control, some that are playing Invoked, some that are playing Jet Synchron setups for Mecha Phantom Beast or Auroradon, and they go for combo finishes. This deck is everywhere, extremely frightened about it in the upcoming format.
Yeah, Eldritch is one of the decks I played a lot the last time on Dueling Book, and I think it definitely got this shot. Like I generally prefer to play like control-ish decks. I don't like combo decks. It's probably why I chose Eldritch and not Emancipator, for example. And yeah, at the very beginning, people played like pure Eldritch. I did as well. Then people started to tag it with what's it called, Invoke, which I kind of dislike. I don't know. I don't like the playstyle. Like I had the feeling like when I played with pure Eldritch against Invoke Eldritch that I got some advantage because they can't grind that well. They only build up one negation, like with the Mecha Bar. They have the floating Aleister, which kind of sucks, but that's all. If you get rid of one of these, if you get rid of the Eldritch or the Aleister, it's just like a weaker version of the counterpart. And yeah, for me, it worked out pretty well playing against it. But then people started to play with the new Link Cross that was released that summons 2 tokens and going ahead with Jet Synchron, which fits pretty good into the deck since you're not missing any normal summons. Like you do not rely on normal summons, and Jet Synchron fits perfectly into it, in my opinion. Like it was for me the normal summon that I missed that does enough for this deck. And you have the possibility to draw I'm not sure, like 3 or 4 cards, or you can build up negations with Link Cross, Needle Fiber, Auroradon, and so on. Like you have then Herald and Savage, and I think that makes a deck pretty strong. And then you just play you Eldritch. Like when you did the combo, you just play your general Eldritch. You still play like pure Eldritch, but you just cut some cards which doesn't belong to Eldritch and just do the combo before if you have it. That's what I like about the combo the combo version of Eldritch. It's like the deck I'm playing at the moment, and in my opinion, is one of the strongest versions.
I think you're right that a lot of early Eldritch design was like, oh, this deck's strong, it's capable, it refills its entire back row every turn, but it does lack a normal summon, something super proactive that can like present some sort of a threat in terms of like ending the game and not relying on just slowly grinding out to the point where you can like Gustav Liebe or something ridiculous. And Invoked was just a very early attempt at identifying what that normal summon might be. But man, the Jet Synchron version. I had not lived until I fired tuning and like milled Eldritch off the tuning. Oh, wow. It is something.
Yeah, and at the very beginning when the deck came out, or was legal on Dueling Book, many people played without normal summon, and it was I don't want to spend the mechanic, like I don't want to waste. Because the normal summon is just free. Like it's a free, more or less resource. It's not a resource itself. It's something you you should abuse. Like, I think it's wasted if you don't use your normal summon. You want to implement something into the deck that uses the normal summon to not waste that mechanic. And it doesn't rely on anything. Like, some people could say, like, yeah, okay, it's a mechanic like Pendulum, but Pendulum relies on 2 scales. The normal summon doesn't rely on anything. You don't want to throw that away.
The next deck that I think got a huge boost in Eternity Code and people are excited about in ways that they weren't previously is Orchest. Orchest has Ding Girsu. The little Girsu was released in Eternity Code. It is a combo starter. It is a Dark Machine. You can find it off the entire library of Orchest Searchers. You can cycle it with their draw spells. I mean, it seems like it does everything for the deck, and yet the deck is still not really up to par in terms of the larger metagame.
I think Orcus has some potential. Like, it's sleeping in my opinion. Like, people do not play it at tournaments so far, I think. At least I didn't see it. But okay, ETCO's just legal for 1 week now.
Yeah.
Or 2. I don't know. And we will see people playing it, I think, because it's like it's like a control-ish combo deck, like Eldritches, but it's more combo than control. Like, if you take a look on the combo Eldritch version, it's in my opinion more control based than combo based, but it still has both of those parts. And Orcust is just the counterpart of it, I think. Like, Orcust has control-ish parts as well as the combo part, but I think more combo than control. And I think it's a pretty strong contender due to the release of Girsu. It makes the deck more consistent. You have you have a normal summon now, consistent normal summon. It still lacks on power because Harbor is banned, but I think it's capable to do pretty strong boards. Like, from what I've seen, like, what did it end? Like, you have Barbel set up with Skeleton Nightmare, Dingus in the graveyard, and Palooza IP with a monster of your desire. Like, some people played the Union Carrier with the extra deck lock. I saw people playing Savage. Probably people play. I didn't check on that, but probably people will implement Link Cross as well. But you have to be aware of, like, Orcust is a deck that needs a lot of extra deck slots. You can't play that much of combo.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think you're right. I feel as if this deck is, I mean, clearly going to get better. You know, a week after Secret Slayer's release, people were playing Adamancipator with like 9 eggs. The versions of Orcust that we see are going to get a lot better in terms of tuned decks. They're going to understand what the most powerful win conditions for the archetype are. Right now, I think a lot of the builds we're just seeing of this list are just confusing. You know, some are going for the extra deck lock, some are going for big combo finishes, some are going for board building, some are going for recursion. And as people sort of circle the drain on what the best version of that deck is, I do think we'll start seeing Orcust top. Maybe not in the same respects as like any of the other like tiered meta decks, but definitely more than it is now. The final deck we're going to talk about is one that got just about literally nothing out of Eternity Code. It's Salamangreat. Salamangreat is still around, still kicking, and there are still people playing Gazelle in 2020. Thoughts on this one, I suppose?
It's like... it's not because of the release of ETCO itself, but it's more like because Salamangreat is such a versatile deck. It can adapt nearly to any metagame. Mm-hmm. And people are like... they're figuring out that hand traps aren't that bad. I mean, like, Salah is, in my opinion, is a... I don't know. I wouldn't consider to playing it at a tournament because I just got my Eldritch combo deck and I think it's better than Salah, but it's still a good choice for a tournament. I think like it's capable to play like 12 hand traps, can play so many hand traps, so many interruptions for those combo decks, and still just doing its thing like it did all the time. Like Gazelle stuff, going for Wolf, setting up Rage Roar, stuff like that. And you definitely will see adapting, that people will adapt with that deck, like they always did. Like at every format, you see Salad somehow adapting, since it's really, yeah.
I mean, even in metagames that were super hostile to this deck, like I'm reminded of like 2 formats ago when Invoked Shadow was everywhere and people were just making Wind to turn 1 over and over again. They started playing Prohibit Snake. I mean, there are just an unbelievable amount of directions you can take Salamangreat in. And I think you're right in that, like, the releases for this deck don't really matter. What matters is people isolating a known metagame and then preparing accordingly. And I think
right.
that, you know, over the course of a long tournament, a deck that can consistently target those metagame threats and adapt on the fly based on which one they're playing against is going to have a better record than a deck that has like a 70% Adamancipator win rate and a 30% Outlich win rate that just could hit the wrong side of the bracket.
Yeah, exactly. Like in the right hands, this deck is, like, I would say Salad has a good chance to top an event, but not the best chance to win an event.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's consistent. The right player may achieve the top cut with it because you rarely break and your matchups are overall fine. But achieving, like winning the whole tournament is like a bit harder for it, since the other decks have higher power ceiling.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Well, there you have it. Just a smattering of the decks that you will see this individual decimate on their Twitch stream, which I will have linked below as well. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, no problem.